In the end, it is all about speed. Not shocks and springs, not points and paychecks. The beating heart of NASCAR has always been, will always be, a hand wrapped around a stopwatch with only one question in mind. How fast did you go? How fast were you in the turns, on the straights, entering and leaving pit road? The clock is relentless. It penalizes every lapse in concentration, every twitch of the car, down to every inch, every second. But the 2002 NASCAR Winston Cup season was also a marathon. It was a 10-month race that crisscrossed the American continent. The course of that journey showed us the rise of once unknown youngsters, as well as the rebirth of nearly forgotten veterans.
Dale Earnhardt, Dale Jarrett, Jeff Gordon, and now Bill Elliott joins the list of winners of the Brickyard 400 at Indy.
All with one goal in mind, a reserved parking space on the hallowed ground of a victory lane. Crew chiefs, pit crews, car owners work relentlessly during a round-the-clock quest to beat that stopwatch. But even the most carefully designed plans, the most beautifully choreographed steps, sometimes choose to go wrong. From the crisp winter days through the dogged summer nights, a driver must remain alert, for even the smallest miscalculation at 200 miles per hour can mean disaster.
Trouble, Stewart in the wall.
Here we go. Here we go.
Robbie Gordon's in at the 33. Harvick is around.
Here we go, guys.
The big one.
Second after second, lap after lap, it all takes place before a gallery of thousands whose hearts both race and are broken by the action of their heroes on the other side of the fence. In 2002, no one knew what to expect from a year that seemed to hold so much potential. In the end, the battle for the championship would exceed even the wildest preseason predictions. Veterans and youngsters, former champions, and total unknowns, nearly every driver in the NASCAR stable enjoyed a moment in the sun, but only one could be crowned champion. How fast did they go? The clock begins now. There is something about speed weeks at Daytona, something about the beach, the clear skies, the cool air. Every driver has an extra gleam in their eye. Every team starts the season with a clean slate. The crews wear crisp new uniforms, the cars sport bright new paint jobs. The stars come out, and the fans are always waiting with pen and program in hand. When the curtain rose on the 2002 edition of Speed Weeks, many people saw it as a chance to start over, a chance not to forget the tragedies of 2001, but rather to learn from them and grow, a chance to honor those lost with a deeper appreciation for who they were and how they might make the world a better place to live and race. The 44th edition of the Daytona 500 was not overshadowed by the memory of Dale Earnhardt. Instead, it was touted as a tribute to the man who had loved the great American race so very, very much. Carrying the torch for the man in black would be the son that shares his name, and an old friend, Dave Marcus, who was making his 33rd and final Daytona 500 start. Rookie Jimmy Johnson led the field to the green flag, but it was Kevin Harvick in the Intimidator's car who led the first 3 laps. And Michael Waltrip, in a Dale Earnhardt Incorporated Chevy, he led the next 30. Although Earnhardt's son would not fare as well. It was a furious 3.5-hour battle. with 20 drivers taking a turn at the front, everyone holding their breath in anticipation of the big one, the multi-car wreck that seems to always plague restrictor plate racing. 61 laps from the finish, it happened.
Oh, look out!
21 cars were suddenly out of contention, including Harvick, Johnson, Ken Schrader, and Ricky Rudd. The race was now in the hands of a pair of two-time 500 winners, leader Jeff Gordon, second place Sterling Marlin. During a single-file restart with only 6 laps remaining, Marlin made his move.
Oh, Jeff Gordon spinning down the inside.
The red flag quickly came out to try and preserve a green flag finish, and the leaders were parked to wait out the track cleanup effort. That's when Sterling Marlin decided to open up his own personal body shop on the Daytona backstretch.
Sterling Marlin is jumping out of his car. He's going around to look at the right front fender. But, oh, he can't do that.
Marlin was penalized for working on his car under the red flag and dropped to the tail end of the lead lap. He had to settle for an 8th place finish. The new leader was Ward Burton, but Burton would have to hold off fellow Virginian Elliott Sadler and 1986 Daytona 500 winner Jeffrey Bodine over 3 frantic final laps.
Checker flag is up, and Ward Burton is going to win the 44th Daytona 500.
Burton's efforts resulted in the biggest win of his 9-year Winston Cup career, a check for nearly $1.5 million, and his name on the most coveted race winners trophy in NASCAR. A trip to Rockingham in the Sand Hills of North Carolina means one thing, and one thing only: getting down to business. 1 week removed from the glitz, the glamour of Daytona, Rockingham is a chilly reminder of the long season that lies ahead and the marathon of a point chase. Every driver knows that 2 bad runs in the first 2 races could quickly leave would-be title contenders on the outside looking in.
Trouble on the leader, Dale Jarrett.
One outside.
Is up in smoke.
Captain is on the speedway.
Clear low.
We blew up.
Sterling Marlin was once again at the point, with Bobby Labonte in pursuit. Matt Kenseth had ridden near the front all day. With 6 laps to go, he sensed that it was time to make his move. Kenseth whipped his Taurus below Bobby Labonte into second, then drove even lower to challenge Sterling Marlin for the lead. As he pulled alongside the Coors Dodge, the former Rookie of the Year got a little help from the Rock itself.
Here comes Kenseth.
Marlin's slip rewarded Kenseth's bold move, and it put the Wisconsin kid back in victory lane for the first time in nearly 2 years. In Sin City, everyone knows the odds are either with you or very much against you. On a blustery March day in Nevada's high desert, Lady Luck finally decided to go dancing with Sterling Marlin. Nearing the halfway point of the 400-mile race, Marlin spun off turn 4. He made a trip to the pits to check on his Dodge Intrepid, and he broke the pit road speed limit in the process. But missed communication between NASCAR officials saved the Chip Ganassi team from the 15-second penalty. Sensing a second life, Sterling rolled the dice and started reeling in the competition.
Sterling Marlin brings the Coors Light Dodge across the line for his 9th Winston Cup victory.
The win marked Marlin's 3rd top 10 finish in as many races. The season's early championship favorite had officially made his presence known. Very quietly, a movement was beginning to stir in the Winston Cup garage. A youth movement. The 30 and under set, scattered throughout the top 15 in points. The so-called young guns were led by a pair of rookies that raced like anything but rookies. Ryan Newman set second in points, only 74 markers behind leader Marlin. Jeff Gordon's young protege, Jimmy Johnson, won the pole at Daytona and finished 6th at Las Vegas. it became obvious early that this young pair of racers far exceeded the dates on their birth certificates.
We started this year and approached this year as we were capable of winning the championship, capable of running in the top 10 in points and, winning races and sitting on poles. And that's how we entered this year, and to this date, it's got us second in points.
Someday I'm not going to be young, and I might have a different view then. But I think that, there's a lot working in young drivers' directions these days. There's been a lot of young guys paving the road for us, other guys that are coming along to be in this first-class equipment, be in these great rides in the Winston Cup Series. And I'm thankful for Dale Jr., Matt Kenseth, and Tony Stewart, and all those guys that came onto the scene and really showed what some youth can do in one of these race cars.
At the Atlanta Motor Speedway, youth was served. 46-year-old pole sitter Bill Elliott, the oldest driver in the field, was quickly overtaken by Newman. Of the race's 325 laps, only 4 were led by drivers over 31 years of age.
Trouble on pit road. Bobby Labonte's car was hit and turned around.
As veterans fell by the wayside, Matt Kenseth, Kurt Busch, Tony Stewart, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. traded the top spot over and over again. Stewart's move around Ward Burton with 22 laps to go set a new race record of 34 lead changes, and the dirt track legend never looked back. At Daytona, Stewart had finished dead last, completing only 3 laps. Just 4 weeks later, he was back in victory lane. Awaiting the young guns 1 week later, the place known as the track too tough to tame. Since 1950, the Darlington Raceway has earned its reputation as a monster that chews up racing's best and sends them home humbled. Only 5 races into the season, it was becoming obvious that there would be no time for mistakes, no time for a lapse in concentration. Losing focus for even 1 second could result in a Darlington stripe and a tumble in the standings. A good day at Darlington is to survive. A great day is what NASCAR legends are forged upon.
Just race the track, and you got to here. If you get caught up really trying to race somebody, you'll be winding the fence. And just race this track, and she'll be good to you.
Steve Park made his return to the number 1 Chevy for the first time in 7 months and led 19 laps early. Marlin began the race at the rear of the field after changing engines in the Saturday practice. But by the halfway point, he had his Dodge in 3rd place, hot on the heels of Jeff Gordon's Chevy. Tony Stewart rode at the point until the lady in black decided to intervene.
A ferocious crash in the back straightaway coming off turn number 2.
Stewart was airlifted from the track. He was sore, but okay. Gordon brushed Stewart's car and fell out of contention during repairs. Marlin found himself in the lead once again and outpaced Elliott Sadler for his 2nd win in 5 races. After Darlington came a visit to Thunder Valley, Tennessee. The Bristol Motor Speedway, the traditional first short track visit of the season, a place that requires 3 days of total, unwavering focus for both driver and crew.
I've done a good job in short tracks in the past, but I've learned to really like them, and I know the feel I want out of the car. And when I can get that feel, then I'm ready to rock and roll and win that race. I just love Bristol. It's a real high bank racetrack. It's got a lot of G-forces in the corner. I've won there 9 times. It's one of my favorite places, and so probably one of the biggest secrets of Bristol for me is that I love it.
Hot tempers and short fuses are always the order of the day at Bristol, and there was plenty of emotion after Saturday's Busch Series event. After a stern talking to from the NASCAR brass, it was time to rock and roll.
Pull them belts real tight, buddy. We going for a ride. 16 seconds a lap. Get ready to take a deep breath and take the green flag. Go, go, go. Green, green, green. Buckety, buckety, buckety. And let me down in front of you, JP. Thank you.
Still nursing back pain from Darlington, Tony Stewart led 73 laps, but was forced to surrender his seat mid-race. Super Sub Todd Bodine rallied the 20 car to a 15th place finish. Dale Earnhardt Jr. led nearly half the event, but was done in by pit strategy, and four-time winner Jeff Gordon simply spun out on his own. Jimmy Spencer, seeking his first win in nearly 8 years, took the lead from 23-year-old Kurt Busch on lap 444 in turn 4. But Busch came right back with a Spencer-like move of his own.
Whoa, he hit him. Busch got under him and muscled Jimmy Spencer. You don't see that often.
It was the first win for Roush Racing's youngest driver and the 5th different winner in 6 races.
This is what it's all about. Just racing hard, racing smart, having a good car, and being there at the end of the race. You never expect to win at Bristol, you just expect to survive.
While Busch celebrated, a new Winston Cup rivalry was born, and revenge was all but promised.
Got railroaded out of the lead. You know, he just got smashed 2 in the back bumper. I mean, it's evident on tape. I'm sure they got it. Shouldn't race that way, but he won it. I just don't forget, that's all.
Meanwhile, Robbie Gordon took exception to a similar shot from Earnhardt Jr. and took time to express his feelings on pit road.
Well, he wouldn't move over. He was a moving chicane the whole race, so we had to deal with him at the end.
Junior came in and tried to run me into the pit lane wall, so I hit him back, you know. I don't know what his problem is. I mean, that's twice today. He hit me 2 times before I got him, so it's what you call racing.
As spring began, it was time to head west for a visit to a crown jewel in the Lone Star State, the Texas Motor Speedway. It was the time of the season where teams either start clicking or they start to fall apart. With 500 miles of racing and a newly paved racetrack, the teams who had developed that chemistry would own a back-breaking advantage over the teams who had not.
Usually when stuff doesn't go right, either the driver goes or the crew chief goes, you know, which is a normal procedure in Winston Cup racing.
As a team, you look at everyone individually and you know that everyone is giving 100%, and that's really all you can do is your absolute best.
2 days of rain moved the Texas Scramble to Monday morning, where once again Bill Elliott was on the pole. Matt Kenseth started the day in the rear of the field, but patiently and methodically clawed his way toward the front under the watchful eye of owner Jack Roush.
To be honest, real disappointed, real disappointed, and I was real worried about starting in the back here. This is, if I had to pick out a few tracks, I would not want to start in the back. This I thought would have been one of them, but the track got pretty wide, and we were able to pass the cars like we needed to.
Dale Jarrett's blistering early pace had whittled the number of cars on the lead lap to an exclusive club of 15, including Kenseth.
Dale Jarrett was real fast. There was a lot of green flag running. There was times where I was entering turn 1 and he was at the start-finish line. He was getting pretty close to putting me away, and I was back there trying to pass cars. So, you know, with air off the nose and running in traffic, I was running, you know, a good bit slower than he was until I got out and open. So we weren't that far away from being lapped at a certain time in the race.
2 cautions over the final 100 laps left the race in the hands of the pit crews. Just the kind of pressure Robbie Reiser's team thrives on. The reigning world champion crew got their driver out first, twice, and victory number 2 was in the books.
It feels unbelievable to win 2 races in Sonoma, I think our 7th race of the year, so it's been an unbelievably good feeling. It's not something I expected for sure, and to come to a big racetrack like this and be able to pull the win off is pretty important for us.